Hello guys, I am back from another video. Today we're talking about what Deku was in Fate Grand Order. So in the last video, Deku, after Izuku was told that they're gonna be going to a training camp, Izuku prepared so he can give 7 students their catalysi or catalyses so they can summon out their servants. So when they made it there to the training camp, it was, interesting. They were somewhat attacked by 4 people, and apparently they're actually, 4 heroes, which they were called like the Wild Wild Pussycats or whatever. So when they get there, they started eating, then after that, it was dinner. Izuku finished dinner pretty early because Izuku was getting ready for the ritual. After Izuku does that, Izuku tells all of the students to come to the ritual site. So, these 7 students were Bakugo Katsuki, Kendo Itsuka, Naito Monoma, Shoto Todoroki, Ijiro Kirishima, Setsuna Takage, Tokage, and finally Denki Kaminari. So, these people, or students, or should I say masters, were going to be given catalysi after they were given their catalysi ritual. So, after the ritual was done, they summoned their servants. So, Bakugo was given Altera, the Saber class servant, Kendo was given Emiya, the archer, Nato, or should I say Monoma Ushiwaka Maru, the rider class servant, Shoto Todoroki was a Visibron, Eijo Kirishima not Lancelot, Leon. Tokage was Gorgon, Avenger, by the way. Finally, Kaminari was given Carmilla. So, after that, they go to sleep so they can train, so they can defeat the Red Faction, also known as the League of Villains. So, this will be the explanation from last video. So, let's talk about what happens next. So, before we start the video, I want all of you to keep subscribing to this channel so we can get to that subscriber goal. When we get to that goal, I'm gonna be doing a live stream slash Q&A slash showing all of my old drawings. And please, I'm really excited for this type of live stream. Okay, good. So let's go back to the video. So Izuku was getting ready for the final battle. It's basically after the training camp. Izuku is currently waiting for his brand new bionicle arm. As Izuku sees, wait for a second, Mei Hatsume. Even though she's mostly preferred to use technology, after learning that Izuku is a bit of a mage, Izuku's actually a mage, she asked for permission from his parents to try and learn how to use magic or magecraft. So, when she's done making the brand new bionic arm, Izuku's bionic arm is completely different. It's ornate, almost looking like a Victorian era style bionic arm, but more modern-ish. Izuku tried it out as it's able to use magecraft. Izuku's also able to create let's just say a gigantic claw arm, just imagine the claw, what's his name, the Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget, that type of arm. So after doing that, Izuku says thank you to Mei Hatsume as she says this: "No, thank you. Ever since I learned some magecraft from her parents, it was pretty fun. I mean, all of this magecraft and things like that, it's super interesting." As Izuku says this, "Anyway, I should be leaving." As she says this, "Anyway, toodaloo." So, Izuku was currently staying at one of the, dorms, currently waiting for the rest of his students. As Izuku sees Bakugo and her servant, Altera. As Altera and Bakugo started getting a little bit of a bond. Also for, Kendo, him met her and we were getting along pretty swell. When one of his servants, specifically Ichigo, sees Emiya, he says this. Wait, Shiro, is that really you? You're... As Shiro says this. Hello. He kind of sighs. As he says this. It's been a long time. Wait for a second. Kiritsugu. As two of his other servants specifically... Wait for a second. Ilya and Irishville. Irishville said this. Kiritsugu, you know him? As Ilya said this. Wait, Shiro, I didn't know that you became a servant. What happened to you? As he says this. Anyway, I'm gonna be going with my master. After all, this is the final strike. Or should I say final battle. When I do this, I'll finally get my wish. Anyway, I'll be leaving. Goodbye, Dad. So, after that interaction, Kiritsugu kind of cries. As he explains what happened. He explains back in the day, he saved Shiro from another timeline. He specifically not from this timeline. It was actually in another timeline way because, you know, FGO and the whole Natsuverse is after all pretty confusing. Yeah, in this timeline, they basically like, just like in canon, specifically in like Fate's Day Night. So, yeah. Anyway, after that, they started going to a helipad where two helicopters arrived as they started bringing the students, specifically the 7 students that are given servants, and some heroes to the where All For One and Mash Kirolite are staying. So, when they arrived at that island, this island was not even... It's more artificially made. Izuku sees that this island is actually a maze, as Izuku can definitely feel like it's actually a noble phantasm. As Izuku says this, wait, everybody, get off! As they were attacked from the sky, as a blast of energy basically destroys two of the helicopters. Everybody was falling from the sky. As Izuku tells everybody to use their noble phantasms or their servants, or even wait for a sec. So, after they use their quirks, noble phantasms or servants to basically block their fall, Kaminari says this. Dang, that almost scared me. As Carmela says this. Ugh, the sand is destroying my dress. When I find them, I'm gonna kill them. As Emiya says this. Anyway, it seems that we're in some sort of artificial island. As Izuku says this. Wait a minute. This is not normal. This labyrinth. This is a noble phantasm. As they hear the sound of screaming, more like yelling, as they were in some sort of corridor, as in front of them they see something terrifying. They see Asterios, which is the Minotaur. If you don't know, he's from like Fate Apocrypha. Not Fate Apocrypha, I meant like in, I think it was in Fate Grand Order. Yeah, you saw him in like Okeanos, which is kind of a spoiler, I guess. So this version of wait for a second, Asterios, or Asterios if you want to call him that. This version of Asterios is given more of an angrier edge, giving him more and more angry, more like giving him like enhancements, specifically giving him the abilities of a Nomu. This type of like thing is definitely different. He also has, instead of like his usual axes, is the weapon that Heracles used. Specifically the fully leveled Heracles. like the final stage of Heracles, which I actually gotten, and I'm almost at like level 100 Heracles, thankfully. So that's basically what he looks like. And sorry about that. Instead of wearing a bull mask, instead he's wearing a mask that's similar to a skull. As this version of Asteria started charging towards him or them. So Izuku tells a VC Brawn, specifically Todoroki's a VC Brawn, to try and block it. As Todoroki says this, yeah, try and block it. As not Hysterius, I meant a VC Brawn brings out two golems. These two golems lessen the attack as it basically destroys them. This Hysterius says this, too much pain. Kill enemy. Kill them all. Let them burn. Let them burn. As he starts producing fire, as Izuku says this, everybody run! As everybody starts running into different directions, as Izuku was with both Kendo and Bakugo and two of their servants. As Emiya said this, so I'm guessing the rest of the group moves somewhere else. As Izuku says this, I agreed. Let's just go forward. Thankfully, he's probably like following somebody else. So, after a while, and I mean a while of like walking, they started feeling like they're getting lost. As Izuku says this, let me try something. So, Izuku summons out one of his servants. Specifically, Izuku summons out Lancelot, as Izuku tells Lancelot to try and climb the wall. So, when he does that, he finds that they're nowhere near the goddamn sorry. It's just my cousin's brand new ringtone. God dang it, why does it have to be these nuts? Anyway, so he tells Lancelot to basically pick him up. As when Izuku saw it, they were not even near the castle. So, or the base of operations where the League of Villains are staying. So, Izuku tells both not really wait for Bakugo and Kendo to tell their servants to bring them up and over the wall. So they go over the wall as they started just walking on the wall. Izuku thought it was pretty easy until they were attacked. So they were attacked by Edmond Dantes, as Edmond says this. You really dare to try and attack us right now. Well then, take this. As he brings out a blast of energy, Izuku dodges it as Izuku summons out one of his other servants. Izuku summons out Chloe, Miu, and Ilya. Chloe says this. It's been a long time. Ilya. As Ilya Chloe, what are you doing here? As Izuku says this. Alright, can you at least try and listen? Try and fight him while we're basically escaping. As they say this. Right, master. So, Ilya started blasting out energy blast at Edmund, as Edmund starts disappearing as he reappears and gets ready to kick Ilya right. But thanks to Miu blasts an energy blast at Edmund. For Chloe, she started creating more of these knives as she throws them at Edmund. Edmund gets slashed across the face, but he starts getting mad as he says this. Well then, you dare slash the face of the Count of Monte Cristo. Well then die. As he brings out his noble phantasm, and there Chateau Thief. As when he's about to do his blast, Izuku summons out Mr. Hyde. Let's just say the Dr. Jackal, he was not really happy about that, as Mr. Hyde basically stabs Edmund before he's about to do anything drastic. God dang it, that stupid ringtone. Wait for a second. Before he can do anything else. So, after Edmund was stabbed right in the back by Mr. Hyde, he slumps down to the ground as he says this. You, you, how the hell did you kill me? As he says this. Well then, it was simple. I'm not a fucking loser. As he crushes his head by stomping on it several times. As Ilya, Chloe, and Mio were horrified. As wait for a second. Cleo says this. Why are you doing that? Even though I'm cruel, it doesn't mean that I have to kill somebody. As he says this. Oh, come on. Anyway, we should go back to Master. Let's just go. So, they disappear as they go back to Master, specifically Izuku. As they were about to go into the, into the actual, vicinity of, the base of operations for the League of Villains. After they made it there, Izuku also sees that the rest of the team was also there. All Might says this. Damn, these things, they're pretty tough. As Izuku says this, yeah, because they're servants. They're strong, after all. As they hear the sound of, footsteps. Specifically, gigantic footsteps. As everybody sees King Protea, as she says this. Oh, I think I found brand new toys. Now, let's have some fun. As she's about to crush them, as thankfully, in the nick of time, Gorgon appeared, as she throws King Protea away. As King Protea says this, ooh, a playmate. Let's just have some fun then. As she starts charging towards Gorgon, as Gorgon says this, now die, you damn bitch! As she creates a blast of pure energy. As King Protea says this, what is this? As she says this, this is one of my abilities. I call it Mystic Eyes of Petrification. Now, you're about to turn to stone. As after a few minutes, King Protea was defeated, being turned into stone. Even turning into dust, basically. As Tokage says this. Nice one, Gorgon. As Gorgon says this. Thank you, Master. So, they break in as they see the servants. As Himiko says this. Oh, so you must be Izuku Midoriya and the Black Faction, I believe. Huh. So, you finally beaten one of Mash's Kyriolite-san's servants. Oh well. Come here, Altoria. Can you please kill them? I want that boy's blood. As she licks her fingers. As she points at Izuku. As Izuku says this. If you're trying to get my blood, well then, guess I'll have to kill you for that. So, when Izuku's about to transform into his demi-servant form and gets ready to slash her, it was blocked by Vlad. As Dobby says this, good one, Vlad. Now, take him down. As he says this, very well, Master. As Izuku gets kicked across the room, but Izuku grabs onto the floor and goes back into position. As Izuku says this, well then, as Izuku starts spitting out blood, and Izuku says this, now, come forth, Vlad! As Vlad comes out of Izuku's portal, as he says this, well then, imposter, let's have some fun. And I will defeat you, showing everybody that I'm the true Vlad. As Vlad III, the Berserker version, says this. Well then, you'll die then, you clone. As they started fighting. For wait for a second. Altorio Lancer, she starts getting ready to attack Altera. Altera slices a piece of her flesh as she says this. Hmm. You really think that you can actually beat me just because you're a saber? Well then, activating Noble Phantasm. Can you allow it, Master? As Himiko says this. Very well. Activate your Phantasm. As she starts getting ready. As it creates, her spear starts spinning, turning into a tornado. As she starts charging towards Altera. As she says this. Rongo Minyado! As she's about to slash Altera's body. But thankfully, she activates her Noble Phantasm. As she says this. Wait for a sec. Altera says this. Photon Ray. As it creates a blast of energy, literally slicing in half Alter Pendragon, Alter Lancer, which is a pretty long name. Altria, Pendragon, Lancer, Alter. Yeah. After doing that, Himiko said this. This is unfair. How are you? As Bakugo said this. Altera, you can do whatever you want with her. Just leave her out so the heroes can capture her. As she says this. Very well, Master. She restrains Himiko Toga. After doing that, Himiko started spouting insults about Bakugo, mostly about her body. Yeah. Wait for a second. While for Vlad and Vlad Berserker started fighting, as Izuku is trying to help, but for Dabi, he starts creating blue fire. As Izuku starts dodging it, as Dabi says this. Hey, you really are powerful. Because of your whole stick. You're able to create black fire, right? Well then, if black fire is really that powerful, then I could say that I'm just a loser. But, even though I'm a loser, I still can't be underestimated. So, dead die! As he creates a big flame wall made out of cremation. Izuku now uses his arm, or his brand new arm, as a shield. As Izuku, after running into the fire, Izuku punches Dabi across the face, instantly defeating him. While for Vlad Berserker says this. How are you this powerful? How? I'm supposed to be the original. As Vlad Lancer says this. I really think that you're able to beat me. I'm stronger than you. Thanks to my innate ability. Now, as he opens his mouth, as he bites on the neck of Vlad Berserker, killing him. So, after doing that, Izuku starts summoning back Vlad Lancer, going into another room. So, Izuku sees in front of him Lancelot Saber. As Lancelot Saber says this. So, I'm guessing that you're the so-called leader of the Black Faction. I am the Saber of Red. I only asked for one thing, Mr. Izuku Midoriya. Or should I say Izuku von Ironheart. As Izuku says this, what is it? He explains, I wish to be no longer Tomura Shigaraki's servant. As Izuku says this, what? He says something on the lines of like, he wants to be free. He doesn't want to become a servant to a tyrant. Izuku says this. So, You seek to join me and my friends? As he says this, yes. After all, you have a much more dignity, like a, what do you call it? A better army, I should say. And after all, after seeing your exploits, especially seeing my king, I decided to join you. As Izuku says this, but you had your king, the other version of Altoria, as he says this. No, it's not her. She's different. Or should I say he's different? He's unlike our king. He was supposed to be kind, not savage and monstrous. I just want to be with my king again. So, do accept. As Izuku says this, sure, while watching this, another person was watching all this go down, and that was Tomura. As Tomura says this, you dare try and capture my servant? Well then die! As he charges toward Izuku and gets ready to disintegrate him. As Lancelot goes in front of Tomura and stabs him right in the chest, but not before getting touched by all 5 fingers of Tomura, getting disintegrated across the face. So, both of them were killed. It was unfair. Izuku kind of felt bad. So Izuku just puts let's just say Lancelot somewhere else, somewhere more dignified. So Izuku leaves and goes into another room. Izuku goes and finds a corridor filled with trophies. These trophies were specific. Those are from 0 for 1. Izuku looks and sees that apparently 0 for 1 was a, what do you call it? A great student back in UA, back when it was in its prime. Izuku says this. Wait, 0 for 1 was a student at UA? So, after looking, Izuku finds an article. Apparently the article says that 0 for 1 became a villain. It's because of something. Wait for a second. It's because of his mother. His mother was killed during a hero fight. Or a hero attack. Apparently, the heroes never saved his mother. So, after that, he decides to become a villain. And his true quirk appeared. His quirk was 0 for 1. So, after finding Mrs. Mashkiriolite, he started learning how to harness the powers of, well, magecraft. So, after finding the Greater Grail, he decides after the Holy Grail that Izuku was attending, he would make a early Holy Grail war, which is basically this Holy Grail war. So, after looking at that, Izuku sees 0 for 1 standing over him. As Izuku says this, so, 0 for 1, you're kind of like me. As 0 for 1 says this, you're right. Your, let's just say your mother and father were killed back in the day. Or should I say back a few months ago? Or should I say a few months ago, I guess, or a few years or whatever. I heard that your family was powerful in Magecraft society, said to be the best. So, would you want to join this group? Join the League of Villains. Izuku says this. What? He explains that if he joins, if he joins, he would become powerful, even getting revenge on those people who ruined him. Izuku doesn't remember anything about his past. After all, after he goes into Germany, Izuku got an amnesia there, basically. But thankfully, he remembers everything after a while, except when he used to live in Japan. So, Izuku said this. I'm no I'm no way, no way I'm going to become a villain like you. As he says this. What? As Emiya is getting ready to shoot him, specifically Emiya Alter. As Izuku says this. Besides, you're about to assassinate me. As 0 for 1 says this. How did you? As Izuku summons out one of his servants, being Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh slashes the head off of Emiya Alter. As Izuku says this. You really think that you can ever beat me? Because I'm experienced, unlike you. Your magecraft is pretty much lacking a touch. So, well then, Izuku gets ready to aim his gun and shoots him right in the head using his mini noble phantasm called Flames of Hatred, Flame Bullet. So, after opening that door that was 0 for 1 was standing over or behind, Izuku finds that he's in an area where so many machines are basically. So, Izuku looks and sees Mash. As Mash is basically with Miss Samiramis. As she looks over and sees Izuku. As she says this. Wait for a second. Senpai, you're here. It's me. Mash, your kohai. As Izuku says this. I'm sorry, but I'm not your so-called kohai or whatever. Besides, I'm not Mr. Fujimaru. I'm Izuku Ironheart. As she says this. No, you're obviously Fujimaru, my senpai. They brainwashed you, right? As Izuku kind of leans back and says this. I'm sorry, but I'm not Fujimaru. As one of these servants, not servants, more like Dragon Tooth Warriors gets ready to slash Izuku, but Izuku slashes it across the skull. Because Dragon Tooth warriors are basically just skeletons. So Izuku slashes it with his axe scabbard and basically kills it. As Izuku says this, hey Semiramis, maybe next time be more, let's just say, more quiet if you want to assassinate me, even though you're an assassin class. As she says this, why you? As Izuku says this, anyway, I'm sorry, Miss Mash. After all, you did love Mr. Fujimaru, but I'm sorry, but it has to be that way. Izuku gets ready with his gun. As Izuku says this, Flames of Hatred, Flame Bullet, Final Loss. Izuku shoots out the bullet, aiming it at Mash, but, by the way, wait for a second, but, as she brings out her shield, as she says this, so, if you don't remember me, then guess I'll have to make you remember. Right, Fujimaru? Senpai? So, she starts charging towards Izuku, while Semiramis starts creating poisonous blasts, blast of pure poison. So, Izuku starts dodging them, but Izuku gets one on his, well, bionic arm, which kind of rots. So, Izuku starts using his blade as Izuku starts using his gun. Unfortunately, the arm basically falls apart by literally rusting up, like literally like rusting. So, while Izuku was fighting her, Izuku realizes something. If he looks like Fujimaru, then as Izuku says this, I think I remember now. As Kyrielite, Mash Kyrielite says this, what do you remember, senpai? As Izuku says this, Mash, it really is you. What happened to you? Izuku pretends to be, like he, quote unquote, remembers that he was Fujimaru. As Mash says this, it's me, your Kohai. Please come here, senpai. I missed you. As Izuku starts walking towards her, Semiramis is basically watching. As Izuku summons out Fran behind her, specifically Frankenstein Saber. As Izuku says this, oh, it's been a long time, Mash. As she says this, oh, what are we going to do after we finish this Holy Grail War? As Izuku says this, Frankenstein now! As Frankenstein kills Semiramis in cold blood. As Izuku kicks Mash to the ground. As Izuku says this is the end of the line, Miss Mash Kyrielite. As Mash says this, wait, I thought you remembered. As Izuku says this, why would I have remembered like something like that? I mean, I'm not Fujimaru, you're just delusional. As she says, no, I'm not delusional. It's you. It's you, Fujimaru-san. It's me, your Kohai. Please. Izuku gets out his sword. As Izuku says this, rest in peace. I hope to see you in heaven. Maybe with your real, Fujimaru. With your real senpai. So, Izuku stabs her right in the chest, killing her and ending this Holy Grail War. So, after this, the Greater Grail starts glowing as everybody comes out as they see Izuku standing over the body of Mash, as they see also the Greater Grail glowing. As Izuku says this, alright, so who wants to get the Greater Grail? As Izuku looks over Bakugo. As Izuku says this, hey Bakugo. As Bakugo said this, what is this, Izuku? As Izuku says this, you earned it. After all, you did most of the work, I guess. As Bakugo said this, sure. So, Izuku brings her bridal style to the Greater Grail. She grants, as the Greater Grail grants her wish. Her wish is to become lovers with Izuku. So, after doing that, Izuku looks over at Bakugo. As Izuku kisses her right in front of everybody. So, to Kendo's dismay, well, Izuku's now in love with, well, Bakugo, unfortunately. So, yeah. So, instead, Kendo decides to try and act as like Izuku's mistress, I guess. So, yeah, this will be the end of this series, and we shall talk about the epilogue. Okay? Good. So, now, after the world sees, well, mages, or at least knows about mages now, they now learned how to summon out heroic spirit and act as let's just say like heroes to heroes. Like, hero teachers or something like that. So, many servants have arrived to become like either friends, maids, or anything like that. So, Izuku is now not really a hero, but more of a mentor to the brand new generation of, well, mages. While for Bakugo and Kendo, they act as like the brand new, or at least like teachers of like the brand new generation of like heroes. So, with the Izuku servants, they act as like a brand new group known as the Black Brigade, which act as like a special ops group similar to the FBI and things like that. So, yeah, Izuku gets two children from from both of the girls, specifically Bakugo and Kendo. One a girl who's pretty adept in like magic and magecraft, while the other is basically have like a similar quirk to Kendo. She's he's able to basically create like hands, basically like gigantic hands, but also sometimes uses magecraft to basically harden her his attacks. So, yeah, this will be the end of this series, and I hope you liked the video. Comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys see all of you guys next time. And before you leave, guys, please subscribe to me, because when we get to that subscriber goal, I will gladly do a live stream slash like Q&A slash like showing all of my old drawings. So please do that, because I really want to do it so I can like interact with all of you guys. Okay, good. So goodbye.